Hello guys, welcome to Movie Review. In today's video, we are going to recap The Departed. Warning, spoilers ahead. Frank Costello, Jack Nicholson, an Irish-American mobster, says in a voiceover that he doesn't want to be a product of his surroundings. Instead, he wants his environment to be a product of him. Violent riots in Boston or in previous generations are depicted in this grainy vintage footage. Costello, who is staunchly Irish and openly prejudiced, adds that what irritates him about African Americans is their inability to accept that they will not be handed anything. Costello believes that you should do whatever it takes to get what you desire. Costello is in a little convenience store, where he takes protection money from the proprietor, who is plainly disturbed by Costello. Costello cautions him to bring more cash next time. Costello inquires behind the counter if the shop owner's young teenage daughter has had her period yet. His demeanor is laid back, which makes him all the more dangerous. The forceful Costello offends and compels the daughter to answer his rhetorical question. The shopkeeper is emotionless. Costello's meeting with the shop owner is witnessed by a little boy, Colin Sullivan. Costello recognizes him and inquires if he is the kid of someone he knows. He instructs the store owner to give the youngster 2 full grocery bags and then presses some coins into the boy's hand. He reminds the youngster that when he becomes older, he can collect more money from Costello. As Sullivan matures, Costello grooms him and steers him toward a career as a police officer, where he may inform Costello. Sullivan completes the police academy and joins the Massachusetts State Police Department right away. He is accepted into Ellerby's Special Investigations Unit, which specializes on organized crime. Costello is the unit's #1 priority. Captain Queenan and Staff Sergeant Dignam cordially welcome Sullivan into the State Police Department. Billy Costigan, who comes from a family with deep ties to organized crime, is also a police academy student. He is summoned to a meeting with Queenan and Dignam, who humiliate, threaten, and verbally torment him before he graduates. They press him to resign as a cop since he's too brilliant for the job and his family has a criminal history. When Costigan refuses to be hazed, they switch tactics and offer him a job as a police officer on the condition that he leave the academy, serve time in prison on a fabricated assault charge, and enter Costello's group. Only Queenan and Dignam will be aware that Costigan is a double agent. They promise him a bonus if he does the task. When Costigan is released from prison, he approaches his cousin and asks him to help him fund a cocaine trade. Mr. French greets Costigan and his cousin at a neighborhood tavern, where Costigan orders cranberry juice. Costigan is asked if he is on his period by the man on the bar stool next to him. Mr. French stops Costigan from smashing a beer mug over the man's head. Mr. French informs Costigan that he is not permitted to beat up certain men, and he is fortunate that the guy at the bar is not one of them. Costigan confronts 2 Italian mobsters from Providence who are extorting protection money from the store owner while eating at the counter of the same shop where Sullivan first met Costello. When he hits one of the 2 men, he breaks his hand. When Costello learns of Costigan's behavior, he calls him in for a discussion. He swears to defend Costigan from the mafia, who will return with reinforcements to kill him. Costigan is invited into a rear room, where he is instructed by Mr. French, a senior member of Costello's staff, to search him for weapons or a wire. Mr. French smashes Costigan's cast open, and Costello uses a shoe to beat Costigan's broken hand in an attempt to force him to confess to being a cop. Costigan stands up to their abuse and is recognized by Costello as a respectable thief. Within their respective organizations, both Sullivan and Costigan earn credibility. Sullivan goes to the crime scene where the 2 Providence mafia guys were discovered. Sullivan makes touch with Costello, who instructs him to sway the investigators away from Costello. Madeline Madden, a psychiatrist, becomes Sullivan's first love interest, Vera Farmiga. Costigan sees her as well, but only as a client, as mandated under his probation. He becomes interested in her as well. Sullivan alerts Costello about the police operation during a deal to sell stolen missile guidance microchips to Chinese government agents, and everyone avoids detection by boarding boats waiting in the warehouse's back. Both Sullivan and Costigan realize there is a mole in the other's group, though their names are unknown. Costigan threatens to quit, but Dignam tells him to produce evidence so they can find the mole. Costigan, who is quite upset, finally gives in. He's having coffee with Madden, who wants to live with Sullivan. Sullivan is instructed by Costello to find the rat in his crew. Sullivan requests the social security numbers and other identification information of his crew members so that he may locate them. Costigan looks for the informant and learns from a member of Costello's crew that Costello is an FBI informant, which explains why federal prosecutors have failed to indict and arrest Costello on numerous occasions. Late at night, Costigan pays a visit to Queenan's house and informs him that Costello is an FBI informant. Mr. French takes down everyone's social security numbers and other identification information. Costigan exits after correcting Fitzgibbon's misspelling of the word citizens on the envelope holding their information. He pays Madden a visit at her flat, where she is in the process of moving out. She informs him that she will be living with Sullivan. They converse before having sex. In the Special Investigations Unit, Ellerby appoints Sullivan to lead the search for the mole, noting his immaculate record. Costigan follows Costello to a pornographic theater, where he witnesses Costello meeting with and handing over an envelope containing the personal information of Costello's crew members to a shadowy figure, whom he does not recognize as Sullivan. Costigan pursues Sullivan through Chinatown and out the theater's emergency exit, but neither man knows who the other is. Costello is instructed by Sullivan to follow Queenan to a meeting with Costigan. Before Costello's men can hurl Queenan off the roof, Costigan escapes and lands at Costello's feet. Costigan joins Costello's team as they leave, claiming he's just come to assist in the assassination. Delahunt, Mark Ralston, is killed instantly. Delahunt identifies Costigan as the mole back at their pub, but he dies before he can tell anybody else. Delahunt, a crew member, turned out to be an undercover cop, according to a news article. Dignam is compelled to resign from the police force as a result of this. Sullivan calls Costigan using Queenan's phone, but he is unable to persuade him to leave his job as a mole. From Queenan's notebook, Sullivan discovers that Costello was a Federal Bureau of Investigation informant. He is concerned that his status as a Costello mole may be disclosed. Costello is tracked down by the cops with Costigan's help to a cocaine pickup, where a firefight breaks out between his gang and the cops, killing the majority of Costello's crew. Sullivan confronts Costello, who admits to being an FBI informant on occasion. Sullivan fires multiple shots at him. The next day, everyone on the force applauds Sullivan for killing Costello. Costigan comes to meet him in good faith, hoping to reclaim his civilian status and retrieve his back salary. He informs Sullivan that he wants to return to civilian life. When Costigan finds the envelope from Costello on Sullivan's desk, Sullivan leaves to look up Costigan's personnel record. Sullivan is finally revealed to be Costello's mole by Costigan. When Sullivan returns to his desk, he knows Costigan has deduced his true identity, so he deletes Costigan's personnel records from the police computer system. Madeline informs Sullivan that she is expecting a child, but she does not reveal the father's identity. A few days later, she receives a package addressed to Sullivan from Costigan. When she opens it, she discovers a CD containing recordings of Costello's discussions with Sullivan. As she is listening, Sullivan walks in and attempts miserably to alleviate her fears. Costigan contacts him and tells that Costello taped every conversation he had with Sullivan. The recordings were left with Costello's attorney, who gave them to Costigan. Costigan claims that until he regains his civilian identity, he will incriminate Sullivan. They decide to meet on the roof of the same structure where Queenan was murdered. Officer Berrigan, Dale, shoots Costigan in the head when the elevator doors open on the ground floor. Berrigan also kills Brown when he arrives. Berrigan informs Sullivan that Costello has more than one police mole, and that Costello intends to hand them both over to the FBI. Sullivan shoots Berrigan in the head when he turns around. To protect himself, Sullivan fabricates a tale at police headquarters, naming Berrigan as the mole and recommending Costigan for the Medal of Merit. Sullivan and Madeline stand at Costigan's grave at his funeral. Sullivan makes an attempt to communicate with her, but she ignores him. Dignam meets Sullivan as he enters his apartment and shoots and kills him. A rat scurries down the balcony railing as the frame drifts up to the window with the gold dome of the Massachusetts State House in the backdrop. That's all guys for this video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video and don't want to miss the next movie recap.